Alright, so let's move on from bearings. Let's move on to harmonic motion. Harmonic motion is just the periodic nature of trig functions, and a lot of times it can be used whenever you describe like objects that vibrate, oscillate, rotate, or move by a wave motion. So waves are a form of harmonic motion. Frequency is your number of cycles per second. Okay, so that's number of cycles. That's kind of like your number of periods, right? So each time your sine function or your cosine function repeats, that is each of those cycles per second. That is called your frequency. If we're talking about the amplitude, we know what that is. That doesn't change. That is their maximum displacement from the equilibrium or the center. And then period is a time for one complete cycle. So some similar things, but frequency is just going to be your new part. Motion of this nature can be described by sine or cosine and is called simple harmonic motion. Harmony. That's what I have. I actually have more simple harmonic singing, I would say. So let's move on here to example 6. So your definition of simple harmonic motion. Its distance d from the origin at time t is given by either of these functions. A sine of, and that's called a w, t, or d equals a cosine wt, where a and w are real numbers such that w has to be greater than 0, it can't be negative. Motion has an amplitude that's absolute value of a, makes sense. Your period now is 2 pi over w. It's no longer 2 pi over b, it's 2 pi over w. And then you have a frequency, which is w over 2 pi. So you basically go backwards. That's exciting. So what we want to do here for 6 is we want to write the equation for simple harmonic motion that satisfies the specific conditions. So we need to go through and we need to figure out what our a, what our period is, and our w. In this case, your d is equal to 0, your displacement. This just means that d is equal to 0. Your amplitude is equal to 4, and the period is equal to 6. Now, if your period is equal to 6, that means 2 pi over w is equal to 6. So in order to solve this equation, we have to write this over 1 because we need to know what our w is. So if we're talking about the w here, that's what we're trying to find. So just like a regular proportion, you cross multiply and divide. You get 6w equals 2 pi. Divide both sides by 6w, or sorry, just 6, and w equals 2 pi over 6, or pi over 3. So now we are ready to write our equation, where we're just going to say d is equal to 4 sine of pi over 3, because that's our w, times t. And that's your equation. Okay, that is a simple harmonic motion equation. Now, if we want to figure out what the frequency of this harmonic motion is, well, we got to think back. Your frequency is found. Frequency is equal to w over 2 pi. So w is a pi over 3. So if we have a pi over 3 divided by 2 pi over 1, that ends up giving us a 1/6. So there are 1/6 of a cycle per second. Okay, make sure you use these formulas up here. Those will help you find out your answers for simple harmonic motion.